What's up, everybody? This is now robot number 6 for the Mega Man 4 Any% speedrun tutorial that I've been working on lately. Today we're going to talk about Dive Man. This is typically one of the harder stages for newer runners due to the weird slide mechanics underwater, as well as Dive Man can be a little scary himself sometimes because you fight him with Skull Crusher, obviously his weakness, and unfortunately he's very quick sometimes, and you have to get really close to actually hit him with Skull Crusher, so it can make the fight a little bit scary. However, depending on our movement, the fight will be identical every single time, and we shouldn't have to worry about any surprises, I guess. So basically, what I want to show is some really safe strats throughout this stage, really. I mean, slide mechanic, obviously being strange underwater, not being able to jump out of your slide, uh, can be really, really scary for new people, and they forget a lot too that you can't do that. So obviously, the most important thing to be thinking about in this stage is, can I slide on this location or wherever you're in the stage? Can I slide here? Is there any risk of dying? That's really the biggest thing that you need to consider. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some beginner strats where I'm going to basically slide in places where I know 100% I can go to the end of my slide and I will not die. And then we'll show some slightly more risky strats in the intermediate, obviously, and then the advanced. We're going to put in all the slides except for a couple that are very, very minor time saves and very hard. We're just going to skip a couple of them. Okay, so let's watch the beginner strats here, and then we'll talk about the screens. All right, let's talk about what we watched. Okay, so like I said, water slides are an issue. First thing we're going to do, just like a lot of stages here, we're going to switch to bright immediately. Now, I'm going to try to show you a few really good places for slides here. These platforms, you might decide that you don't want to slide on any of them. It's really up to you. But you can't die if you miss a jump off of these platforms. And you stay out of the water, meaning you can still jump out of your slide up here. So one slide off the start of the stage will always get you to this corner. And then you can just jump up and start following. I'm doing slide jumps here. You can, again, just walk here. This fish cannot jump high enough to hit you on this platform, so you don't have to worry about him. And then, before this fish jumps, he will jump high enough to hit you here. So somewhere before this fish jumping, I recommend freezing the screen. So you can do it back on this platform here. But as long as you flash the screen before this guy gets up here, you'll be fine. And then, since there's spikes here, we're just going to walk on these platforms and make the jumps. That way we don't run the risk of sliding off accidentally and falling onto these spikes and dying. And we're just going to jump here into the water. Now, you have a couple options. You can either do what I'm about to do, which is I'm just going to slide into this Met, and then I'm going to slide through him. I'm going to use my invincibility frames and take the D-boost. Or you can kill this fish here and then jump over the Met. It's really up to you. If you're really concerned about your hit points, you can definitely take a little bit extra time to shoot this fish and then jump over. But typically, Mets don't deal a ton of damage, so you can just slide through them here. You notice I took only 3 damage, so it's not that bad. I still have 25 HP, which is a lot. And then we want to do a slide to here. We'll come out of our slide here. That is perfect in front of this enemy here. And so we can do another slide and we'll go right underneath him. And then another slide will actually catch us underneath this ceiling here, so it'll hold our slide for the entire time. And then as soon as you come out, do one more full slide. You'll come out of this slide about here, so you have this much distance on the platform to jump and clear this gap with the spikes. So don't do another slide here. A lot of people sometimes forget that they're underwater and they'll slide off this edge and fall on these spikes. So just walk up to that edge and jump over. Likely your flash stopper will either wear off around here or even earlier. So just be prepared that as soon as this Met opens up, flash the room again. And then you can just kill him there and freeze him in place. Then jump up here, jump to this platform. We're basically utilizing the fact that when you release A underwater, you kind of hang. So you don't have to worry about falling really fast like onto these spikes. You can kind of like release A here and you'll like hang a bit as you start to fall and drop down to these ledges. This is a free slide right here. So just slide off this ledge and then let go of right. Otherwise you'll walk into this Met and just land here and jump over him to the next ledge. And you notice I like sort of just jump up here and let go. It's the release of A that makes you kind of hang in the water. If I was to hold A and jump out of the water, sometimes you get a increased speed fall, which usually isn't a big deal, but sometimes if you're not careful and you make your jump early, you could fall down and hit these spikes. But typically, as long as you just like jump up to about somewhere near the top of the water here and let go of A, you'll always make this jump. It's pretty easy. And then we're just going to slide into the screen transition. Now, obviously, if you're a newer runner, you might not have great mashing, which isn't a big deal. Basically, the idea here is to freeze the whale as soon as he comes within, wherever you feel comfortable mashing him. If you want to mash him, freeze him sooner when he's up here, you can. Just be aware that you kind of have to practice the timing. You don't want to freeze him too soon. Like, don't mash B in this screen because you might freeze him up here at the top of the screen and then find out that you can't actually jump high enough to hit him a bunch of times. So what I recommend for newer runners is just wait for him to come down and spawn like this, then freeze the room, and then you can just jump up, take your time, jump up, mash him till he dies, and then jump over the spikes. Sliding into the screen, you can do one more slide, and now you can't do a full slide here or you'd fall on the spikes, so I'm just going to recommend walk to the edge and jump. Once again, wait for this Met to open, and then flash the screen. You can kill him there. Don't need to worry about sliding on this, just walk through, jump over these spikes, then you can slide up to the wall and jump up and grab the ladder. There's a couple strats for this room. You can do a jump here to this ledge and then jump up to this ladder. That's a little faster. However, your jumps do need to be very quick. Like, you have to like release. You need to like release A so that you barely clip onto this ledge and then jump again really fast. And I'll try to show that in the other 2 tutorials. But for sake of a newer runner, I just recommend doing one full jump. That way you don't lose too much time to unoptimized jumping here. Okay, so there's a trick here. So Eddie is in this room. Now, a beginner runner, you again might want to collect the 1-up or the E-Tank from Eddie. It's really up to you. But the danger here is Eddie could throw you an ammo refill. Now, for a beginner runner, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you're finding you use too much flash stopper because your movement's not as good, the ammo could be actually kind of nice. He might also give you health, which would top you off if you take the D-boost on the Met. However, ideally here in a speedrun, you don't actually want to collect the item that Eddie's going to throw. So the best thing you can do here is to, as soon as you get to the top of the ladder, try to jump to this ledge and then slide. If you're fast enough, Eddie will stop here at the edge of this step here, and he'll throw the item over top of you. So the idea here is to, as soon as you get to the top of the ladder, jump, land, slide. Now he even went off the step here, but I'm going to jump over the ammo pellet that he throws. Therefore, I don't have to collect this. If your movement is a little bit slow off this ladder, you're going to get this item. So if you're really worried about skipping this, this takes a lot of practice. Just, you guys kind of have to give it a a little bit of a little bit of practice to sort of like get this movement down. I would recommend for a newer runner, this isn't really as critical. Obviously, it's a small time save, but again, if you're looking for small optimizations, you might want to consider trying to beat the ammo pellet, so to speak. And we're just going to climb this ladder. Now, for this room, you're going to do 2 slides. When you come out of your second slide, wait to see what pattern this guy gives you. And just like, remember in the Dustman tutorial how we froze this guy at this height, same deal. I'm going to freeze him so that there's enough height distance here that I can slide underneath him. He could also give you a big jump, and you can also then freeze him. But just make sure that after your second slide here, you don't slide a third time, or you're going to slide into him or under him, depending on what pattern he gives. If he gives you a big jump, you'll actually keep sliding through, which is good. But if he gives you the short jump like this, you need to freeze him in order to get through quickly. Otherwise, you'll take 8 HP in damage, because the Stompers deal 8 damage. And then we're just going to slide underneath, do another slide, and we're going to jump into the next screen. Here, just a quick jump into the next screen, nothing big. So here's the checkpoint room. Now, if you have gotten any ammo refills, you can flash this screen. Now, in this particular video, I'm trying to show the worst case scenario. So I have not gotten any ammo drops, which means I have 8 flash ammo left, which means I only can shoot flash twice because you use 4 ammo every time you flash it. So what I'm going to actually do with this screen is I'm just going to do big jumps and just dodge the enemies doing big, long sort of A inputs. And that way I don't waste flash. Now, if you would rather do that screen using flash, you can do that. The idea here is to save at least 1 flash for this last whale. If you feel more comfortable doing the last room with the enemies frozen in place as opposed to the next room frozen in place, then you definitely can do that. But I just wanted to show that with big jumps, it's slower, but you can still go through that last room fairly easy. So again, same strat here. Freeze the whale low, shoot him till he dies. And for new runners, if you're not comfortable with anything like slide canceling or you're sliding yet, what I recommend you do is just jump across and walk into this second whale mini-boss screen transition, okay? Because the pit coming up in the next screen, this pit is not a death pit. There are spikes down there, but this is where the wire is, and we do not want to go down there yet. At this point in time, RTA refight skip is not possible, and even if it was, a beginner runner is likely not going to learn it, definitely at the difficulty level it's at. So we're definitely not going to want to fall down here. This loses a lot of time because not only do you have to go all the way down and either get the wire or kill yourself on spikes somewhere down here, but it sends you back to the checkpoint room. So it's a big time loss falling down there. So to make it easier, just walk into this screen. That way when you get here, you can easily jump over it without the risk of falling down. And now we're just going to do 1 slide, and when these you see these stingrays, freeze the screen, kill that one, slide under that bomb, because you don't want to walk into that. You want to make sure you slide under it. Then jump up to this step. Now, an interesting thing is, this stingray actually has a hitbox. If you walk across this, you will get hit. However, if you watch the general mechanic tutorial, where I show the hitboxes of Mega Man, you remember that the slide hitbox for Mega Man is very small, and it actually allows you to slide over top of this enemy, even though you can't walk over him. So I'm actually going to land here, and I'm going to slide right over top, because my hitbox is actually up here, sort of at Mega Man's eye level, and the Stingray's hitbox is down here. So I actually slide through him, kind of, and that allows you to do 1 full slide here without needing to worry about jumping over him. And then jump over this guy, and then what you're going to do, for a lot of people, they can squeeze another jump in here, and then jump over this bomb. But if you're really scared, because these things are coming down, and you're not comfortable yet with jumps, just wait. Just wait for that to come back down, and then go back up, and then you can jump over the bomb into the last screen. There's no reason to rush that room. The reason I wanted to show that checkpoint room without flash is because I think this room there with the bombs and the stingrays is a lot harder without flash. So definitely, I would recommend trying to to save at least 2 flash stoppers for the last whale and that room. And then, yeah, this room here is really easy. Just slide. Slide, 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 slide. Don't shoot anything, don't jump, just slide all the way to the door. You'll make it every time. Okay, and now we're just gonna change to Skullman and fight Dive Man here. Now, like I said at the beginning of this video, Dive Man is pretty quick. Something to be aware of is Dive Man's hitbox is about this, this size, about the size of his body here. But when he gives you this animation, okay, so he's always going to charge at you. I'll explain the hitbox here coming up, but he always 100% of the fight will charge at you because you're really far away. So what you want to kind of do here is hang out close to him. So I use a Skull Crusher immediately. That hits him, and I'm just going to land somewhat close to him. Now he's going to charge me again. What his pattern is basically. Actually, I'll talk about the pattern after, but or the RNG factor after. But the basic pattern, if you do this movement, is charge 1, charge 2, charge 3. Then he'll shoot 1 missile, and then he'll do charges till he dies, basically. Assuming that you do your movement the same way as I do mine. So you're going to see I'm going to do 1 hit there, 1 hit there. I'm just going to make big jumps over top of him. There's the missile after the 3rd charge, and then finish him off before he gets, more than 3 charges off. So it's really easy fight as long as you stay fairly close to him. Something I want to point out here is when Dive Man charges at you, this is what I want to talk about with the hitboxes. His hitbox is sort of like this shape right now. When he changes and does this animation where he crouches a little bit to get ready to charge at you, his hitbox actually changes to be, instead of like this, it's like this. It actually, so if you're like right next to him, even before he charges, he'll hit you if you're standing too close to him. So that's why I'm keeping, you notice I keep about a tile distance away from him, because he kind of, in a sense, throws his hitbox at you when he sort of hunches over to get ready to charge you. So just stay about like a tile's distance away, so that sort of hitbox, see I'm well out of range of it, and still staying close to him. And you're noticing in this fight, I'm kind of doing some larger jumps. So your jumps don't have to be perfect over him. You can do some longer jumps. The biggest thing here about making the pattern work is staying close to him. Okay, so basically how this pattern works is Dive Man, if you are far away from Dive Man, he will shoot missiles at you. And if you're close to him, he will charge at you. This goes for the entire fight, except for the beginning of the fight, where he always starts the fight where he charges at you. If you stand at the far side of the room, like where he's over here, let's say, and you run all the way over here, he'll shoot missiles at you because you're too far away. But he will only shoot 3 missiles, and then he will charge. He can only shoot a maximum of 3 missiles in a row before a charge, and he can only charge a maximum of 3 times in a row before a missile. So that's why in the fight, because I stay close to him, he charges once, then twice, then 3, and then he shoots a missile, because he can't charge 4 times in a row. And then it applies the same way for the missiles, as if you're standing really far away from all the time, he'll shoot 3 missiles, 1, 2, 3, then he'll charge at you. And if you get far enough away from him again, he'll just start shooting missiles again. But if you stay close, he'll keep charging until 3 charges and then shoot missiles again. So hopefully that helps you sort of understand that there's actually 0 RNG in this fight. As long as you stay close to Dive Man, you'll always get the 3 charges, the 1 missile, and then the 2 charges, and he should be dead by then, even with this unoptimized movement that I'm doing. The other thing you notice that I'm doing is, just like in every other boss fight, we want to kill bosses as close to the center as possible. So if you watch this fight here, you see that I slide towards the middle. Or actually, I don't even slide in this one. I just walk a little bit. But you see that I try to like sort of manipulate him over to the middle of the room instead of like moving him to the corners. I want to just stay sort of in the middle. That way he sort of hovers around this middle area. Okay, so the only other thing I need to mention is I'm not going to talk specifically about the animation skip. I can make another tutorial video. I talked about the one for Pharaoh. If you look down in my tutorial videos, if you're in the tutorials playlist, there's a Pharaoh animation skip one, and I kind of talk about animation skips there. I haven't made one specifically for Dive Man yet, but I definitely can if people would want to see that. But the premise is the same. You need to be on the magic pixel, and you need to be at the middle of the screen when the fanfare starts, which is typically when the sprites leave the screen. However, Dive Man stage has an extra mechanic, and it's these little bubbles. And if the fanfare will not start until these bubbles are off screen. And the bubbles will keep spawning until these death sprites are off screen. So if I was to stand here and let these go off screen and I had my bubble disappear right before this would happen, I'd get another bubble and it would go all the way to the top, and then I would get the fanfare. And that's really slow. So you're going to actually see here, I'm not going to get the animation skip, but I'm still going to manipulate the bubble. I can still manipulate the bubble to spawn very high. So here, typically I would want to jump to try, because this is about to despawn, I would want to try to jump to the middle. But my bubble is also going to despawn. And unfortunately this time, my bubble actually disappears. See? Before the sprite is gone. The sprite is still up here in the top right corner. You can barely see it. So because of that, I got a new bubble. And now, the bubble is on screen. I won't get the fanfare until this disappears. And there it goes. It's getting to the top of the screen. So basically, what you want to do is, if you're not going to worry, if you're not trying to get the animation skip, and you're just focusing on the pixel, what I would recommend is trying to get the pixel, and then when this sprite starts, the last death sprite starts to get near the edge of the screen, jump as high as you can, and just make the bubble try to get, spawn as close to the top of the screen as possible. That way it'll leave the screen really fast, and you'll get the fanfare to start quicker. You'll see animation skip in the next tutorials though, so you'll hopefully be able to get an eye for what's sort of going on there. And yeah, that's sort of Dive Man stage in a nutshell. It's, again, being very careful with slides so that you're not sliding onto spikes. And if you are going to slide in a place where there are spikes that would kill you if you fell off a ledge, it is so important, again, to cancel your slide first before you jump, or you will slide off the edge. Okay, so let's take a look at the intermediate strats now for this stage. Pull up the splits for that, and we'll watch the video. Okay, let's talk about these screens here. So there's not going to be a whole lot of difference in the actual strategy. It's mostly going to be optimization of movement. So I'm still going to change to bright. But now I'm going to be trying to slide on most of this platform. So I'm actually going to freeze the screen here. The reason I freeze the screen back here as opposed to further forward like last time is these jumping fish actually cause lag. So if I can freeze this guy before he starts to jump and the next fish appears on screen, to have two fish and this spiny on screen lags the game. So basically what I want to do is I want to freeze this guy before he starts jumping and the spiny sprite is sort of doing its little thing, and for whatever reason, it lags the game a bit. So basically, you're going to see me flash there before this guy jumps. That way, I don't get any lag, and I can keep moving here. Notice now I'm sliding on all these platforms, even the ones over the spikes. I'm just going to jump over this fish, and we're going to slide just like we did before. We're going to slide into the Met, use our iframes to go through. Still not doing any micro slides here. This is still the same strat, killing that Met. Everything in this room is now basically the same, making sure, again, just like in the beginner tutorial, you'll want to let go of right here for a bit, otherwise you'll hit this Met here before you actually hit the ground. And then jumping across and sliding in. So that room is actually very similar, it's just got some extra slide jumps by the spikes. Again, freezing this guy in place so you can mash him. I want to kind of show some of the differences. So I froze this whale in the beginner tutorial. I waited for them to land here. This one I froze a little higher, and you notice that I probably was even slower killing this mini boss than I did when I was jumping here, because my jumps are higher, therefore I have to wait. I fall slower and wait till I land to jump up again to kill him. So you might find that freezing them higher is slower for you, but just be prepared that whatever you decide to do on those mini bosses, one way or another, if you're not comfortable in mashing, I just recommend freezing them a little lower. Okay, so just like last time, we're going to do our slide up to this ledge, but we're going to just walk here and jump. Now, this is something that we're going to do. Last time, we just killed this guy and we walked through. This time, same, just like last time, as soon as he opens, I'm going to freeze the screen, but I'm going to make a very specific landing point. I want to land so that my foot is on this edge. We're going to do the first Raiden of the run, and if you don't know what a Raiden is, I explained it in the general mechanics tutorial, but basically a Raiden is when you can take a slide from an edge like this. One full slide will put you, if you land on this edge with Mega Man's right foot on the ledge and his left foot's overhanging, and you do one full slide, and just a neutral slide, you don't have to be pressing right, you'll come out of your slide perfectly on this edge with Mega Man's left foot on the edge and his right foot sticking off. So basically the idea is here, land here, then you can do one full slide, you don't even have to slide cancel then, and then you see me come out of my slide there, and now I can just jump, and that way I don't have to worry about jumping out of my slide underwater. If you land too far to the right, you will slide off this edge and die. So it's very important that if you're going to do this strat, you need to land in the proper location so you can do the Raiden slide properly. Then jump over the ledge, slide up here. Now something that was a little different here is instead of doing one full jump to the ladder where you grab the ladder down here, now we're going to do one jump here and then one jump up. And the idea here is to jump up and then jump up again, getting a new acceleration, and you can actually jump out of the water and grab the ladder at the top of the screen as opposed to down at the bottom of the screen and then having to climb it. And that's why this strat is a little bit faster. It allows you to grab the ladder at a higher place, which is good for a couple of reasons. Something I actually didn't mention before in any other video, but if you do grab ladders at like off the sort of top of the screen, you actually do get a slight pixel boost in the next screen as well, but very, very minor time save. Just like last time, jumping off the ladder as soon as possible so that we can dodge the ammo that Eddie throws at us, or whatever item he throws at us. Now in this one, I slide through. I actually see here that he's giving me a big jump, and so I decide to not turn back and use Flash Stopper. I'm just going to slide right under him. So that was what I was talking about in the beginner tutorial, about how you can get a big jump and you don't even need to stop your slide. Typically, I will still slide cancel there, but that time I was able to react fast enough where I didn't press left and I just let my slide continue and just keep going. And nothing new about these rooms, just down we go. Now, last time I showed you how to do this room without flashing. This time, our movement's better. We've gotten through a couple screens a little better with flash, so we've got a lot more ammo. Plus, I think I got a drop earlier in the stage. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do one full slide, another full slide. As soon as we get to about here, when I jump off this platform, I'm gonna flash the room. I'm gonna actually, well, you can do it. There's a few different places you can really do it. It depends on your movement, but you can really do it anywhere from between here and here. I'm actually gonna jump all the way over this guy and then flash that guy as he's like right in my face. This might actually make it a little easier for you because you can actually jump over this guy then. Like that. But I know I've seen a few other runners, when they come up here, if they freeze the room earlier, they actually jump under this guy because when you're getting up to him, he's a little higher. But in my opinion, it's a lot harder to do a really tiny jump under here than it is to do a large jump over him once he comes down a bit. So actually, I might recommend newer people just jump over the first stingray and then freeze the room once this stingray is here and this guy comes down a bit. Jump over that guy. We're going to do a bullet slide and then an A plus B once our slide ends to get the second shot in to kill the stingray. And then land there. We're going to slide and slide again into the next room. Now, I'm going to show you something in this boss fight. So in the beginner tutorial, I mentioned about how it might be a better idea to freeze the whale lower. That way it's easier to jump and mash really quick. If you freeze the whale higher, like this, depending on how you jump mash, notice I did not kill him in 2 jumps. Now this fight is much slower than freezing the whale lower because I had to do a 3rd jump. And not only did I didn't kill him and go over in the 1 jump on that 3rd one, I land here again and get a 4th jump over. So this fight here is really slow, and this is what I was talking about the dangers of if you freeze the whale too high but you don't kill him fast. So it's something to be sort of thinking about when you are attacking these whales. If you want to kill them up high, it's fine, but just be prepared to... if you have to jump back up to kill them or shoot at them again, it's a lot longer. It's a bigger time loss, basically, per jump. Okay, so then we're going to land, and we're going to slide this time into the screen transition. So, like I mentioned last time, this is the wire pit. We don't want to fall down here. So, what I recommend is holding left out of this screen transition so that as soon as this screen becomes active, Mega Man will turn left like this, and the slide will cancel. And then you can jump over the wire pit without worrying about it. It just allows you then to be able to slide in the last room. Obviously, this could also be considered a beginner strat as well. But it's just another sort of in-between strat between the advanced and the beginner one that I showed. And then we're going to slide through, just like the beginner one slide. Then we're going to freeze the room. We're going to kill that guy, slide all the way up. Again, sliding through this enemy because the hitboxes on sliding Mega Man are really tiny. Now, instead of jumping over this, I'm going to actually slide into this mine, and I'm going to deboost it so I can slide through it, like that. Now, something to be very aware of, if you heard, listen very carefully, you heard me hit this spike and this spike on my way down. If you are not fast enough sliding after your deboost, your iframes will wear off and you will die on these spikes. So what I recommend, especially if this is a new strat for you, when you slide into this bomb, be holding down and mashing A because you want this slide to happen as soon as possible. If you're not comfortable timing your slide immediately after taking the deboost and your Mega Man becomes active again to do a new input, you really need to be mashing A here, or you might not slide here fast enough and not clear these spikes. So just mash A, that allows you to get this slide off, and then you'll just hold right and you'll tink off these spikes, but you won't actually die because you'll still have invincibility frames. And then just jump over that last mine like we did in before in the beginner tutorial. And then, again, just like before, slide through this room. Nothing fancy, it's just all slides. So there's some slightly harder things in that tutorial, but it's not too bad. Okay, so here we're going to show, again, same idea of the fight. Staying close to Dive Man. And this time you're going to see, I'm going to actually slide towards him so that I can get closer to him faster. Last time I walked and Dive Man came all the way across the screen before he stopped. This time I'm doing a slide so that he actually stops about here instead of all the way over here. So I hit him sooner, basically. And then again, staying close to him. There's the third, that was the 3rd dive, so now I've got a missile coming towards me. There's the missile. I use another Skull Crusher to kill the missile, obviously. And then back to hitting Dive Man with Skull, staying close to him again, just jumping over him. It's not really that difficult. And then again with the bubble, we want to try to get this bubble gone when this just leaves the screen. This left the screen a little bit after, so I got another bubble. But I was actually able to recover this one and still get the animation skip, being at the right location when the fanfare started. Okay. So that's really all there is to it. I'm not gonna go into too much more detail because the intermediate strats, they're a little harder, but the advanced strats are gonna be sort of similar, and I want to kind of talk about them a little more. So let's watch the advanced strats now, and then we'll talk about some of the slightly minor differences in this one. Okay, so let's look at this now. So again, you're going to see very similar strats to the intermediate thing. This beginning part's going to be exactly the same. We're just going to change the flash stopper, and we're going to be sliding. Again, freezing the room here so that we don't get any lag. Now the first difference here is this here. We're going to jump out of our slide, but instead of jumping over this fish and sliding into the Met to deboost, I'm actually going to jump and turn and back deboost off this fish. This is something Almond City found not that long ago, actually. And if you do a quick little deboost here on the back side of this fish, it allows you, if you're quick enough, to slide through this Met without having to get not only not knocked back to the left, but not frozen in place. It allows you to use your deboost to your advantage to get knocked to the right. That's a very minor time save. And then again, like before, sliding through, we're just going to play it safe again. This is one of the really, really risky slide cancels. You can slide here and then slide cancel and jump over, but it's very, very tight and very risky. We're just going to walk it here. Again, as soon as the Met wakes up, flash him again and shoot him. Again, you could potentially jump up here, do a really short slide cancel, and then jump here and do another really short slide cancel here, but very, very risky because there's spikes after both of them. So typically we still just walk those spots. Eventually, at some point, I'm sure we will be doing slides on those platforms, but right now it's really terrifying. Again, sliding off that edge, letting go and right in front of the Met, and jumping over. Okay, so previously we were trying to freeze the whale lower or roughly, around this mid-height. What I like to do for a strat for this whale fight is I like to freeze the whale in a position like this. So now the whale's height is about here and just sticking out of the water. The reason I like this height is because when you do a full jump, Mega Man will come all the way up to about here, and then he'll fall all the way back down. He won't jump that much, much higher. Sometimes you can get bad luck and you'll get thrown out of the water kind of, and you go a little higher, and then sometimes you just jump straight up, hang, and then fall down. The beauty of this is it allows you to just hold A, so you don't have to press A, let go, and mash. You can just hold A and mash B as hard as you can when you're up in this sort of section of the whale, and try to mash them as fast as possible. Now, I do my double mashing. I know I've got a highlight of myself doing it. Basically, the idea is I hold A with my right index finger, and then I press B, and then as I'm getting up to the height where I want to start mashing the whale, I mash with both my right and left thumb as I'm holding A with my index finger. I pinch the A button basically with my index finger, and in between that and my middle finger, and then I rock the controller back and forth into my left and right thumb to double mash. It's kind of a neat technique. If people are kind of curious on it, I can maybe make a quick video of what it looks like. But for now, basically this is how I'm going to be getting my really fast mashing there. And the idea is to try to kill him in one jump. Now, if you are not going to be killing this whale in one jump, then the strat really should be mash him as much as you can in that one jump and hopefully get him to about 1 or 2 HP so that when you land your second jump, you want to be able to mash him, kill him, and jump all over here in one jump. If you do this strat and you do one full jump, mash him, but you don't kill him, and then you jump up and finish him off, and then you jump over, that is way slower than freezing the whale, like I said in the intermediate one, then freezing it down here and jumping up short, mashing, jumping up short, and 3 jumps down there, obviously. So if you are going to go for this higher freeze on this whale, you really want to make sure that you're mashing a ton of hits in that first jump so that your second jump can be either killing him and jumping over, or your second jump is just jumping over like this because he's already dead from one jump like I just got here. So as soon as he dies, again, jumping across the spikes, we're going to get 1 slide, 2 slide. Now, before we were going to walk this and play the safe, but this is a pretty far distance. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to do a 3rd slide, and then you see my little quick cancel here, and then I'm going to jump over. That gets me a little bit quicker as opposed to walking that distance. Again, freezing the room when the Met opens, and you see that I'm landing on this edge, so I can do the bullet slide and do my Raiden. So I come out of my slide, my Raiden slide here, and that allows me to jump over. Sliding up to the ledge, again landing on the ledge and jumping straight up, grabbing the ladder at the top of the screen as opposed to near the bottom. And now these rooms are identical, quick movement, obviously to dodge Eddie. Doing 1, 2, a partial 3rd slide. You notice that I got that partial 3rd slide in, but if I do that, you see I'm in that slide cancel sprite there. So I'm going to do 1, 2, there's the 3rd slide, but I don't know what kind of pattern is coming, so I turn left so that I can press B to shoot him, to flash, to freeze him in place, and then I slide under him and continue to the ledge. Again, this strat, exact same as intermediate. Couple slides, jump over the first stingray, freeze this guy in place, shoot him twice, jump over that guy, bullet slide, and then an A+B after that to kill the stingray, and then slide off this and slide into the next screen. Once again, freezing the whale at about that height where he's just sticking out of the water so that we can do the double mash technique and take him down. Now here's something that's a little different. Remember, we were either walking into this screen with beginner strats, intermediate we slid in, but then we held left so that when we loaded into the next screen, we didn't slide into the wire pit. This time, we're just going to slide into the next room and we're going to go for it. So something that's really interesting here is, I talked about that Raiden slide earlier. This is also another Raiden slide. So if you land right on this corner edge, again, just like we talked about, with your right foot and your left foot hanging off, you can do a full slide here, and it will end before you fall into this pit. And that allows you to then not have to worry about canceling your slide at all. You can just slide right into this room and jump over this pit without having to worry about doing a slide cancel. Then you can jump over the pit, pause the skull. So this is the biggest difference now between the intermediate and the advanced, is we're going to actually use Skull Crusher out here. We're going to kill 3 stingrays. For people, I actually recommend that for people that are new to this strat in particular, only to kill 2 stingrays and leave the 3rd one alive, because then you actually have a couple extra Skull Crusher for the fight. Because if you do kill all 3 stingrays, you'll have exact ammo almost for the Dive Man fight. Dive Man takes 7 Skull Crushers to kill, and you will have 8 if you kill 3 stingrays. The thing is you technically use 8 Skull Crushers typically in the fight, because you use 1 Skull Crusher to block the missile that Dive Man shoots at you. So even though you only need 7 to kill him, we're going to use 8 in the fight. So if I use 6 out here, I'm going to have exact ammo, and that can be kind of scary for new people with this strat. So I actually recommend only killing 2. And the 2 that we're going to kill is, you notice I do a bullet slide here, and then as soon as I come out of my slide, I hit B again to kill this one, and then I'm going to hit B twice. I'm going to double tap to kill the second one right there. So those are the 2 we're going to kill regardless of what happens. That allows you to be able to slide through. Now, I got lucky in a sense for ammo. I got a drop. But obviously in a speedrun where I'm trying to go quick, that kind of sucks. And then the third one we're going to kill is, once you come out of the slide near this mine, do another bullet slide, so B to A, and then as soon as that hits the stingray, it'll be roughly around this time where you come out of your slide at this wall. Just do an A plus B input, and that will allow you to jump and kill the stingray at the same time and land here. And then slide. You'll always beat this guy if you land here and slide quick enough. And then jump. And the nice thing about not using flash stopper in this screen is these mines will be rising, so you'll actually be arriving at them perfect timing, so you can slide under them, jump here, and see, slide under that one again. So you actually get more slide time in this strat as opposed to the bright strat. The one that I want to talk about, though, that third stingray, let's go back here. So we killed those two. This is the one you don't have to kill. You can, basically what you can do is, instead of doing this slide here up to this ledge, as soon as you come out of this slide, just walk and jump up here over top of this stingray. You don't actually have to kill him. You can just jump a little earlier once you clear this mine and jump over him. And that will save 2 skull crushers and make your dive man fight a little bit safer. So, again, you notice that instead of deboosting here and instead of having to jump over this mine, we're getting full slides now on the ground and not having to worry about losing time to movement. And then again, just like the previous tutorials, this room is just all slides to the door. So you can see that there's definitely some strats in here that allow you to get better, smarter movement, I guess. So just like the intermediate fight, we're going to start the fight with a slide towards the middle. That allows us to hit Dive Man over here as opposed to over here. And we're just going to jump over him, staying very close, trying to keep our jumps short. Now, if you can keep your jumps, or your hits of with Skull Crusher on Dive Man very good, and what I mean by that is hitting him basically as soon as he comes out of iframes, you'll actually get your 5th hit in before he shoots his missile. So there's my 5th hit, and you notice the missile came out right after. So I got my 5th hit, then I jump over here, take the missile out, then 6th hit, and 7th hit. So he's actually getting 1 less pattern in. When we did this for the beginner and intermediate, he got 1, 2, 3 charge, missile, and then 1, 2 charge. This time he only gets 1, 2, 3, 1 missile, and 1 charge, and he dies. And again, dying right in the middle. That's exactly where we want him to die. So I'll show that again, hopefully a little less choppy. So here comes first hit, 2, 3, 4, 5th hit before the missile, and then 6 and 7 before he gets his 2nd charge in. Dying right in the middle. And then getting the pixel and trying to time it. Notice the sprite for the death animation is gone. That means as soon as this bubble leaves the screen, the fanfare will start. So I want to try to jump to the middle, and I nail it right in the middle. The beauty of this animation skip, I will mention, compared to the Pharaoh one, is because it's water. Remember how I mentioned in the beginner tutorial about how releasing A in the water sort of makes Mega Man hang? That actually makes this animation skip really easy to get. You can kind of just jump and time your release of A to be about here so that Mega Man kind of hangs for a little bit in the water. And it actually makes getting this animation skip a lot easier because he hangs there. Whereas the Pharaoh one, when you release A, he falls immediately. So this animation skip is a pretty big deal because it saves quite a bit of time. And it's really something you should be able to get every time, assuming you're on the correct pixel and can practice the timing. I will mention quickly, although I can make a video for this if people are curious, but my visual cue for this trick is I watch this last bubble, and as soon as that bubble gets between basically here, right here, where it's these 2 little bolts at the top of the screen, that's my visual cue to jump and let go of A right there. Those are the 2 things that you want to look for when trying to do this skip. Again, if you guys want me to go into more detail on that, I can make a separate tutorial for that. And yeah, that's basically it. So again, key points of this stage, really focus on where you're sliding, because again, underwater, you cannot jump out of your slide. And if you are going to jump, you need to cancel your slide by turning the opposite direction of the way you're traveling. Again, for some of the more advanced strats, that's why we utilize the Raiden slide so that we don't have to worry about slide canceling in a couple spots. But unlike Mega Man 6, there's not very many places we can really use that to our advantage. So the few places we can do it, definitely try to take advantage of those because it just makes the rooms so much easier. And yeah, that's really all there is to it. So hopefully this has been a really helpful tutorial for this stage. This is a really hard stage for newer runners, but once you get to a point where you're speedrunning this a little, getting your time down, you'll actually find that the dive man stage is one of the most consistent stages because your movement is so specific of when you slide and when you don't want to slide. You'll find that this stage will become very, very precise. Like you'll almost always be within a second or two um, of your best time probably in this stage once you get comfortable with the movement, because there's really no way to improve the speed of the stage without making really risky slides with slide cancels and jumping out of slide cancels underwater, which can be really scary. So, and there's no RNG in the boss fight. So, definitely, if you can get consistent at the strats in the rooms, depending on which tutorial you go with, you'll find that this is actually a lot easier than it first leads on to when you look at the run and go, wow, this is really difficult. The biggest thing, again, for newer runners is don't forget that you can't jump out of your slide underwater. It's so important to not try to jump out of your slide when you're underwater. All right, so yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. And next tutorial will be Drillman, and we'll talk about probably one of the biggest RNG sinks of the run, but it's going to be hopefully pretty good here. We're getting close to the end of 8 robots, and I'm getting pretty excited to see what everybody thinks once the tutorial's finished. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Take care.